Live. Hopefully we are. It says we are live, so I trust the
Oh,
machine, right? Well, hello everybody. I am so glad that today I have a special guest on my channel, Tim Oliver. And Tim, I'm not gonna call you Olivier. I don't know why I do that. Your last name is French, and I just want to go with it.
it happens all the time. Yeah, that's what happens when you have two first names. So,
It is.
but yeah, you get used to it. So, Tim or Oliver, either one works.
I'm glad that you are very, very gracious and let me use any of those. So I appreciate that. But I'm gonna call you Tim. I'm not gonna make a mistake again. Learn my lesson. So thank you so much for joining, and we already have a few people joining in. Uh, we have Stewart. Stewart, yay! How are you?
Hey, Stuart.
I know he's been doing a show in England. That looked fantastic. I wanted to go to their show with OM System. So thank you for joining us. And we have also someone from Germany.
Awesome.
Hello. Oh, hello. My German is terrible. I apologize. Do you speak German, Tim?
I do not.
You do not? Okay. So we won't get into German. I apologize. I will get on it though. I need to brush up my German. And we also have Calvin from Maine. He's my neighbor. He's on the other state. So thank you all for joining. You know the drill. Ask any question you want. Today, it's all about photography. It's all about discovering Tim's amazing work. I mean, Tim, I've been following you on Instagram. I got the chance to really know you because you've been really active with the OM System retreat that we've been organizing the past year. And it's just, I'm always so amazed. Like, you send me some amazing photos. Each one of them is better than the other. It's like, you
You're just
truly
buttering me
are
up
a
because I'm
gift.
here.
No, I'm not. I just it truly is. I'm very, very inspired
Uh,
by your work. And you also, so you're a graphic designer and you are a YouTuber. I'm a big fan of your channel.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna put all the link so that you can follow Tim. But I thought we just start with some basics so then everybody can get to know you if they don't already know you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you
Sure.
get into photography? And you are in Arizona right now, but uh, have you been
Well,
to
I mean,
Arizona?
yeah, I'm pretty much a part-time professional photographer in the suburbs of Phoenix, out here in Gilbert. My bread and butter full-time is IT. I've been in IT operations for a long time, but I've been a creative person since I was a kid. I was, the kid that was doodling in the margins on the tests, and the teachers were saying, "Hey, he's smart, but he's keeps looking out the window, and that's all he's doing." So, creative person since day one, pretty much drew a lot. Um, and but that IT money is good, so it's kind of hard to. In fact, that my second career. So my first career was radio broadcasting, which I went to college for. Initially, my first stint, and then got into graphic design. That was my second career, and that actually led into the IT stuff. So kind of followed the money into the technical side, but always tried to keep my creative juices flowing, as it were. And sometimes that was, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It actually really wasn't until recently that I really kind of started to focus. But I've got some. I actually got a degree at the New York Institute of Photography. So did that. So I do have a bit of formal training over the years, but mostly self-taught and prod. These events like the System Retreats or Kelby One. There's a huge
Yeah.
influence on me. We can talk about, but I want to
What was the because you say it's like recently that, oh yeah, perfect. I'm
look at
looking at
that
it now.
guy. Look at that.
I love that photo.
So that young buck, that was me around 16, and that was my first camera, which was the um, Kodak 3C Retina 3C that my father had given me. In fact, I have it right there. Look at that. That's such an awesome little film camera.
Oh, that is
Glasses,
gorgeous. And
and
I feel like you're ready for Nat Geo right now, like with this photo.
I miss that hair though. I really miss the hair a lot. But what can you do? Um, but yeah, so when I got out of film, I started doing, or actually when I was in film, I did Minolta. I was a Minolta film shooter. And then when the digital came around, Sony bought them. So I moved over to Sony. That the Sony Alpha was my first digital camera. And I started doing things like this with Sony and then moved on to Canon with the 7D, but really got into more a graphic nature just from my background, and did a lot of more landscape stuff and, buildings, and but did get into some portrait work. These are my kids back in the day.
I love
Um,
that. They're so puppy. That's what I love about your photo. And it's so funny because I feel like your street photography, your photo, like people photography, and your wildlife, they all make me smile. They are full of colors and full of life. And I feel like I didn't know your graphic work. So I went on your website and I look at some of the graphic that you are doing, and it matches your photography so well as well. Do you feel like photography had an influence on your graphic design or reverse? You feel
Yeah, a
like
little both. I mean, obviously, I started, I think, with the graphic design. I've done with the photography, the film photography, and it just kind of, I think one fed the other, right? The basics of
yes.
photography, whether it's, isolate your subject and, keep your lines clean and be really confident or really conscious of the composition, right? Composition, I think, just naturally, instinctively, I feel I've had a good eye for composition, and then the training and the practices helped along the way, and the different photographers that I followed have helped along the way. But um, yeah, so I mean, even the image with the apple was more of a graphic design,
Mhm.
photograph for a project. So um, yeah, that really kind of started things off, um, and then I kind of got lost for a while. So um, I I just kind of lost my mojo, as it were, right?
Yes, it happens, right?
And yeah, I think it happens to the best of us. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, my part-time photography career has been, I use the word career loosely, but um, it's been, weddings and portraits and events,
Wait, what?
youth.
You were a wedding photographer? I did not
I
know
have
that.
done, yes, I've done enough. I've done a few to know I never want to do it again.
So
And
grizzly
those
bear
folks
or
that can
white?
do weddings, all the power to you. I totally have nothing but respect for folks who can do wedding photography. I don't think I have the temperament. Um,
It's a
and
different
the
beast.
It really is. It really is. And it's your full day and multiple days and just working with people um and herding the cats, as it were. And so yeah, it it's not something I would want to do again. But those who can do it, I definitely appreciate their ability. But yeah, mostly portraiture, and event work, like I said, sports, youth sports, concerts. I work with local bands here in town, which we'll get into some of those things we talk about, on the
Mhm.
system and the gear that can pretty much do everything, right?
It's true.
Um,
Have you always been an OM system? Or were you
no, like I said, I'd started
you
with
started with
digital. I started with
Minolta and
Sony, and then they took a little too long to kind of get up to, the Sony Alpha 100 was a great intro
mhm.
digital camera, but it just couldn't. I wanted to get into youth sports and things like that, and it just couldn't do that. So that's when I switched over to the Canon 7D, which is a workhorse. And that was a great digital SLR. I had that for years and years and years. Um,
And what
but
made
it,
you switch? Because it's so funny. I love that when I hear people, especially you, like you've gone through so many different brands, and now you landing on OM systems. So it's kind of interested of why did you move to this brand? What did you find of
well,
interest?
So it was during the pandemic, it was a lot of downtime, and I'm trying to understand kind of where I wanted to go, where I wanted to focus. And I had been a Kelby one, which was
Mhm.
one, and arguably I think one of the best online photography companies in the world. I think, and Scott Kelby's a fantastic photographer, great
Yeah.
instructor, and all the folks over there are fantastic. And I had gone to a couple of their, and I've been a member of that for a while, and I'd gone to a couple of their conferences when they came into Phoenix, but it's very few and far between. When COVID hit, they had to go online, like fully online, figure out how they were going to do their stuff. So um, their conferences were suddenly online, and I could attend them, and they were, affordable because you weren't paying for hotel and
Yes.
airfare and all that. So they did an amazing job right out of the gate. And so I went to I attended their wildlife photography conference in 2021, and just I don't know, it hit me right between the eyes. It's like
Yes.
that's what I want to do. So I went out and got the Canon R6 had come out, and so mirrorless had just started. I mean, not just started. Obviously, Olympus had been around with mirrorless for a while, but the big boys, Canon and Sony and
Mhm.
all those guys, um, they released their mirrorless cameras, um, and so I picked up the R6 with some big Sigma glass and went out. And this really was the shot that, oops, that did it. This was one of my first images with that camera
Gorgeous.
combination, and it was at a local riparian preserve here in Gilbert, and toward the end of the day, and so the setting sun is behind the bird. And this is one of my favorite birds, the red-winged
Red winged.
blackbird. They're such a great sound, when they're in the big reeds like this, and they're the big grasses, and the males are trying to find a date, and they just make this whistling noise, so they're around. But and
They're
that
beautiful.
afternoon sunlight just lighting up all the gnats that were just everywhere. Um, so
This is such
pushing
a
that.
fantastic image.
Yeah, so I got back and I saw this and edited, and I just like, oh, I think I have something here. I think I really like this, and then got into hummingbirds, and this is one of the hummingbird shots that I did with that R6. And again, it's just the amazing ability of these mirrorless cameras.
Mhm.
And I don't, I'm an OM system guy now, and we'll talk OM system, but I've used Sony, I've used Canon, I've used Fujifilm. The only brand I've actually never used is Nikon. Um, but if someone gave me a Nikon Z8 or the new Z5 or Z6, I'd take it in a heartbeat. They're great cameras. All of these cameras are
They
fantastic.
are. I
Um,
think it's so funny because I feel like so we both OM system. We're very attached to the brand for good reasons, but it's true that any camera you buy right now, they're excellent. All the technology that are packed in those cameras, all the advanced we are so lucky to live in a time where we have access to such. There are computers, right, that help us create better images.
and it's hard to find a bad camera these days.
Yeah,
It really is. This is in a riparian preserve as well, towards sunset, and
yeah. Look at that light.
yeah,
That's
we
gorgeous.
get some good. We'll get some, the American pelicans out here. We get the spoonbills. We'll get obviously the egrets and the herons, and so pretty good mix of birds. So that's really what started my wildlife and primarily bird photography, is that area with this gear and what I could get,
Yes.
um, and and then started to learn to observe, right? So the three things I follow all the time are um, preparation, patience, and persistence. And when it comes to wildlife, you have to be prepared. Luck favors the prepared.
Yes.
So knowing your area, knowing the animals, observing what they're going to do, knowing the gear for sure. You got to know the gear, and that really helps. And then patience is the number one thing. Uh, you can't if you're not a patient person, don't be a wildlife photographer. It's kind of like if you're not a people person, don't be a wedding photographer,
I mean,
right?
you might get a few lucky shots, but that's about it, right? You're not gonna build a portfolio with that.
No, I mean, I'm out for hours when I go out, and I know you are the same way, right? So, I mean, you have
Yes,
amazing photography with wildlife and macro, and it's, animals will do what animals want to do. Nature does what it wants to do. Or
yeah,
we're not really in control other than the settings we're going to use, the gear we're going to use, and where we stand. That's
that's
about the
true.
only control we have.
Although I
Um,
don't know if I really trust that because actually, uh, that is Heather from Atlanta. She was at the OM System retreat, the last one,
uh,
the macro retreat, and you got one of the
that's
most
coming. We'll be talking
amazing.
about
Oh
that.
yes, we are. We're gonna show those amazing water drop and what you got. And I swear, I think you just have a special connection and you make things happen that other photographer can't make happen, because we'll talk about that in a little while. So stay tuned because that's one of my favorite photo that you're going to show us. I cannot believe you got that. But as you say, it's patient, it's planning, and it's understanding your gear because you have very few minutes when it happens. So Heather, yes, we're going to show this. Just stay tuned. You guys all want to stay to see this image that he got. If you like refraction, macro, and bugs, it's amazing.
So I did that wildlife photography conference early in or mid 2021, and in 2022
Wow.
I won the Wildlife Guru Award for Photoshop at Photoshop World. So in less than a year, I went from I think I'll try this wildlife photography out to winning at the next Photoshop World, which was a big deal for me. Really, it just helps. It helps in your progress. It helps in your confidence. Um, Again, this was with the R6. Um, and at the Riparian Preserve, man, that is my go-to place. I just love it.
Is that
And
the one that David talks about? So that's the Gilbert Riparian Preserve, right?
yeah,
All your
yeah.
photos that you've been showing us are from there?
A lot of them are. A lot of them
Yeah.
are. It's just because it's only a few minutes away from me, and it's just this large, area of, and they have like seven or eight huge ponds, um, and walking trails, and so in addition to all the quail and rabbits, you've got a good amount of different types of bird and wildlife. I've actually crossed paths with a few coyotes there. Um, I don't have one of
Nice.
those images here, but yeah, I've gotten some good ones there with the coyotes. But and this is just again, it's the right place, the right lighting. This is a morning light, so I really enjoy when that light comes and reflects off the water, and you can get some of that foliage that's on the bank behind it that will glow in that water. And this is just pretty much a slight crop and some vibrance. And
I
for the
love
most part, I try not to, I try to do as much as I can in the camera. We'll do some
yes.
editing. We'll do some uh, um, cleanup. If there's, because we want to make sure that there's nothing sticking in the, inspect the frame as it were, inspect the edges. So I'll do that. I'll remove some stuff because I'm an artist. I'm not a photojournalist. So I'm trying to make the best art, the best photo that I can, without getting too far into fantasy land. So,
What
but
are
I
your
will clean it up.
what are your go-to for editing? Are you a Lightroom or are you
Yeah,
using like
I'm definitely a Lightroom person primarily with Photoshop. I really like Luminar Neo. I use that a lot for different things. They have a good photo stacking piece in there. They have a good
yes.
panorama feature. Their structure and um, it's kind of like the Lightroom texture and clarity, but I sometimes find that the structure and enhance in Luminar Neo is amazing. It's just, and then all the presets and everything. So it's a really good alternative to Lightroom, especially if you don't want to pay a subscription. A lot of people
Yes.
don't. In fact, I think Canva just released Affinity as part of their product line, which is like a free. They're trying to go up against Photoshop and Illustrator and in
Oh, that's
Studio.
great.
So I,
I,
I I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I read about it this weekend, so over the weekend, and that looks like an interesting product. But yeah, pretty much Lightroom, Photoshop, and Luminar Neo are the three that I use the most.
yes. Do you use any denoising? Do you denoise
Well,
in
the
Lightroom
light
or
the denoise in Lightroom has just become. I mean, it's amazing.
it
It's
is?
one of the things I do, and I'll cover some of the studio work, but I also do these concert events. So low light. I was just at one Friday for a Halloween show, and you're talking about low light. So I've got the OM1 with either the 17 millimeter 1.8 or the 45 millimeter 1.8. This is the 45 millimeter 1.8, and I love this little lens. It's like one of the best
Hmm.
portrait lenses ever. It's so sharp, it's so small, and it's so inexpensive. You just can't beat it. Um, so I can just have a camera and a couple lenses in my pocket and walk around like it was nothing. But I'm shooting at 6400 or 8000 ISO, and the denoise in Lightroom just it doesn't matter.
No,
Noise does not matter anymore. You've got Topaz, you've got On One, you've got DxO, Luminar Neo. They all have fantastic noise reduction. Even the OM Workspace has great
yes.
noise reduction for the native raw file. So yeah,
And it's
noise is
free.
nothing.
And it's free. It's a free, tool that you can use. When Workspace, I use it from time to time. It's a little slow. That's my only complaint with it. But otherwise, I mean, I shouldn't complain. It's a free tool that I can use, and that does quite a lot. But it's true that Luminar Neo, I'm like you, Luminar Neo, Lightroom, those are my go-to. And I used to use Topaz, but now I don't even, because Lightroom has
Mm.
become so good.
Yeah, I've had this. That's primarily what I've been using since they've upgraded, and they've even improved it in this last. They had Adobe Max this last week, and
Yes.
they've upgraded their products. And there's a new, they've improved the denoise, and there's now also I think, a raw details option now, which seems to help if I do raw details, if I run
Mhm.
that first and then do the denoise. I was really happy with the images I got from Friday.
Yes, and it's so
So.
funny because a lot of people are thinking, well, I can't believe you push the ISO so high. And it's like, it's okay. I hear so many people saying, well, you have to keep it at 200, you have to keep it at 800. Not, and I'm like, what is this? No, like, welcome. This is 2025. No, this is not how it works anymore. So it's kind of funny. Like, don't worry about the ISO, just push
Well,
that and then denoise later.
yeah, and that's one of the haters will talk about against Micro Four Thirds, and then there's low noise and noise issues. Yes, it is a smaller sensor, and yes, there is slightly more noise when you're in low light situations. But it also has some of the best image stabilization,
Yes.
and yeah, the noise. In fact, I want to go back through my old catalog now and go back to some of my noisier images and run them through the new stuff and see what I get. And again, that's another reason why I did switch, because even though I was enjoying this R6 with that big Sigma lens, it was heavy, and I wanted to get into some other bigger lenses, and those are really expensive. So I rented an OM1 Mark, or no, I'm sorry, I rented the OMD EM1 Mark III and the 100 to 400, right? The Mzuiko 100 to 400 lens. So this was at the end of 2021. I'd rented that, and
So
oops,
that was the first version
the
that
first
that you got.
version with that EM1 lens, and this is a hummingbird
Look at
shot
this.
I got. You cannot tell me that OM or that 100 to 400 is not a sharp
I
lens.
know. I
If
know.
obviously this is afternoon sunlight. It's bright. There's plenty of light, so it is at f8, but still,
Yeah.
that's plenty sharp for me.
It's all about knowing your tools and knowing how to use them and when to use them. If you take this lens and it's crepuscle, it's getting dark, yeah, you're not gonna get maybe great shot. But yeah, if you go in bright light and you have all the light available, and then there's zero problem. You're gonna get amazing. I mean, amazing photos with this. And look at all the details that you got on that hummingbird. I mean, this is stunning. This is just gorgeous.
And the other thing, and this is another one. This is out at La Jolla Beach in
Oh, the
California,
brown pelican.
and again, not much done to this, just a crop and some vibrance. Just the way the shadows were with the bird, it gave that little that blue and purple on the feathers. But again, it's just bright light, bright conditions. Even at f6.3, you've that the ocean is far behind the subject, so you get that nice bouquet in the background. That just like this soft background. So again, it's about, yes, you get more depth of field with the 2 times crop factor on micro four thirds. In some cases, and I will get into the macro, that's a great thing.
Yes.
And but all you have to do is just make sure of doing certain things. Like I don't generally, if there's a bird on the other side of a pond, I'm not gonna, and it's right next to the bank, I'm probably not gonna take that shot because it's close to the background and the background's just not, it's gonna be too busy. And you'll notice in my photographs, my photography tends to veer toward a single subject, isolated, with very clean backgrounds, clean surrounding areas. I've got a couple images where there's maybe a couple birds in them, but most of the time I try and isolate. I think some of that comes from being what I call a suburban wildlife
Uh-huh.
photographer, right? Not in the city. So I wish I had when I go out to Maine for those OM retreats, it's like recharging my batteries because I grew up in Portland, Oregon. So the other
Hmm.
Portland on the other coast. So on the West Coast, and moved to Arizona when I was young, and it took a few years for me to forgive my parents for moving us down here. But um, so I love being outside. I love the forests. I love the lakes and rivers and the ocean. So any chance I get to be closer to nature, I'll take it. Um, but I think because I kind of am having these natural areas surrounded by cities or buildings and cranes in the background or whatever, I've really focused on getting that subject in the image and separated. And I use the long lens to get closer, right? Some folks will complain about these long lenses or using the teleconverters. They say they're softer. Well, the key is not to use a long lens or put a teleconverter on a long lens to get a subject that's farther away from you.
Hmm.
The key is to get closer to that subject. Use the lens, use that focal length to get even closer. Zoom in on a subject that is, if it's a 50 feet away, I want to get a longer lens so I can get more of that subject in the frame, not get a subject that's 100 feet away, right? Because
Exactly.
the smaller the subject and the farther away it is, and the higher your ISO, that's when you're not going to get very good detail. That's when
Hmm.
things get muddy. So you can have a 100. I've had a 12 or a 10,000 ISO. I've got a 12,800 ISO image of a bird or a hummingbird, but it's filling the frame. Um, so the detail still stays there even after you've run it through denoise or even
Yes.
if it's a little darker.
Yes, and that's funny because a lot of people are like, I don't know why my photo is not good, and that's what I envision in my head. Well, you need to move forward. You need to have the right tools. You can't expect to take a photo of a teeny tiny subject at the back of the pond and then crop it at like 90% and get a great image. That's not how it works. That's not using your tools correctly, right? So it's
Right.
also all about fieldcraft and having the vision for your photos. Like I love that pelican. I love that background. You know, that blue. It's gorgeous. It looks like it was shot in a studio. This is just beautiful. And actually, Stewart had a question. I'd love to hear Tim's thought on the new 50 to 200. I know that we were
Oh, well,
talking before, and We can keep that for later if you want. And
Yeah, I have some images. I have it. I've had it for a few weeks. I haven't had a lot of time to use it, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But yeah, I have some images that I took last week, I think it was. I'll go down to my wife and I'll go down to Madera Canyon, which is southeast Arizona, a couple times a year. It's really close to Nogales, just north of the border, and southeast of Tucson. And beautiful area. You'll be flat, and all of a sudden it just turns into this mountain with pine trees, and but you'll get a lot of good migratory birds. So there's five or six, maybe even more um, hummingbird species and woodpeckers and orioles and grosbeaks and just a bunch of different birds, Mexican jays. So went down there recently and took the 50 to 200 and got some great shots. We'll definitely cover that here in a minute. But so I just wanted to get back to the OM system. So I rented that camera, loved it. In 2022, they released the OM1 and I picked that thing up immediately. I got that and sold my Canon gear because I just fell in love with the size of the camera, the quality, the ruggedness, the weather sealing,
Mhm.
the size of the lenses. Oh my gosh, the how's just that 40 to 150 like seen in this image of the horse. This is a Salt River. This is a lower Salt River, which is northeast of Phoenix, and we've got I'm not sure if it's one or if it's a couple different herds of wild horses out there. And I'm trying to remember if something like 100 of them of these things out there, and they just roam around. And so this is just down by the bank by the Salt River. We go down there hiking or out there hiking occasionally and hope to find these horses around. And this guy was munching on some reeds. And again, this is the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro with the 1.4 teleconverter, so I can still get a decent distance. I don't want to
Mhm.
spook these animals. I want to respect their space,
Yes.
and so he can eat freely and give me this excellent expression, and I can get what I need, and it's still nice and sharp and does everything I want. Speaking of the 20 to 500 or the 50 to 200, boy, dyslexic there. Um, that's something that folks talk about is, do I get the 50 to
Which
200 2.8 or do I get the 40 to 150 2.8? And yeah, that is a dilemma for sure. And I've used both. I have both. I mean, that 40 to 1, basically the 40 150 2.8 and the 100 to 400 are my go-to lenses. I use those the most. Um, and
are you
if
keeping both?
I probably will for the time
Okay.
being. Um, because the 40 to 150 is still smaller. It still has that form factor that is convenient for
Yeah.
travel. Um, but it doesn't have the IS. That 50 to 200 has the IS sync. So you get that, which definitely helps. But that lens is not that, it's actually a little lighter than the 100 to 400, technically. Um, it's about the same size lengthwise as the 100 to 400. It's just has more girth. It's a little wider. Um, but yeah, if you didn't have the 40 to 150 and you're looking for a lens and budget, you weren't budget conscious, right? So if it's about money, if money is your number one thing, then the 40 to 150, clearly it's a much less
Yeah.
expensive lens and will give you great
Plus, you can
options.
probably get it used right now, right? Because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure that there are some people who pick up the new
Mhm.
50 to 200. So, yes, then budget-wise, that's an amazing lens.
Yeah, and you won't go wrong with it for sure. It's a great lens,
Hmm.
but it's one of those that it's like if you really want the top end, the 50 to 200 will give you that length that works. The two time teleconverter gives you one-to-one macro, um, and it's weather sealed. It's got the IS. I fell in love with that thing the minute
Yeah.
I picked it up, and that will become my new workhorse for sure.
Yeah. That's the one that I have in my bag all the time now because I'm like, well, it does everything. Landscape, macro, portrait,
Exactly.
wildlife. It is a stunning lens. So if you have the budget, yeah. I
But
agree.
clearly the 40 to 150 will do similar, right? And
Mhm.
so I got and started getting into semi macro, right? So this is
Yes.
we have a botanical garden, the Phoenix Botanical Garden here. It's a great location, and they have obviously all the open areas, and then they also have a building with the butterflies and bugs and things like that you can go into. And so even
Gorgeous.
here with the 100 to 400, you can get at full 800 millimeter full frame equivalent, you can get some near macro shots like with this dragonfly.
Yeah, I think for dragonfly and butterfly, definitely like the 100 400 and the 50 to 200, those are my go-to lens for dragonfly, damselfly, and butterfly. Macro lens if they're not moving and I want to get like a really close up of their eyes. But otherwise, I mean, look at that. That's such a gorgeous shot. Those colors, the blue and the red, like that's just perfect.
And that's what's great about these zoom lenses is they are so versatile. I
Mhm.
mean, this you can do a variety of different things with them, and still, the 100 to 400 is not a big lens.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy lens. You can easily walk around with it and be able to do a variety of different things. Um, this was, when we go back to patience and persistence, um, and even the prepare. It's like I was watching, with animals and wildlife. You got to really watch them. You got to observe them. Spend some time doing that. And so this heron was uh, walking across this bank and obviously hunting. And I saw these reeds, and I'm like, he's going to walk right in front of those. So I'm going to zoom in. Real got positioned, and yep, he did one of the few times where they're predictable. And yeah, he walked right where I needed to go, and he was nice and smooth and methodic. I mean, you could spend hours watching these guys hunt,
Yes.
and maybe get a couple shots of them actually fishing um, in between there because they take their time for
Did you
sure.
use Pro Capture for this one or
No, no, this was
no?
just shooting as he's moving. He's luckily moving slow enough, so
Mhm.
I'm almost always at high speed shutter.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, with these type of birds, you don't have to be, you can just have continuous autofocus and high speed shutter, just regular, 20 frames per second, and just fire as you need to. But yeah, Pro Capture, another perfect example of what um, OM System and Olympus, why those are such great cameras. Because I definitely have some images where Pro Capture, I wouldn't have gotten the image without Pro Capture
Mhm.
for sure. This is one with hummingbirds. Sometimes I'll use Pro Capture, especially near a feeder. And then a lot of times I'll just put it in this case, I'll generally put it on SH2. Um, and when I can, especially with the 40 to 150, I think the 40 to 150 supports 50. I can't remember now. Some of the pros support the 50 frames per second and some don't. But I think that one does. So you can get 50 frames per second. Um, and you know, the other advantage normally with the smaller sensor is you don't get rolling shutter as much as the full frame. Like full
Mhm.
frame, you'll get that rolling shutter where you get this kind of effect where the wings are a little blurred. But in this particular case, the rolling shutter works. This was a happy accident, and and that happens with hummingbirds even at high speeds. I mean, I was at 2,500. You're better off going 3,500 or 4,000 if you have the
Mhm.
light with hummingbirds so that you can freeze those wings. But sometimes the blurred wings, that's part of the art. Um,
Exactly.
and that made this image. And again, with the the MC14 teleconverter, so you can see there's still plenty of detail with those teleconverters on these
Yes.
zoom lenses. And this one
Wow.
actually won the NAMPA award.
This one is
Um,
amazing. I mean, they're all amazing, but I mean, come on. What? How?
So yeah, this I was, and again, you never know what one they're going to pick, but yeah. So I submitted this for the 2024 Nampa Showcase and won for birds, the best in category for birds. This was actually in my backyard, so you
Wow.
do not have to go far
No.
for wildlife photography and macro photography. You don't have to, and that's kind of where, and we'll talk a little bit about YouTube, but kind of where I'm going with my channel and just my photographs in general and my philosophy as more of a suburban wildlife photographer when I'm doing it is because I would love to go to Africa. I'd love to go to Costa Rica and
Mhm.
Ecuador and all these places. But those are going to be few and far between. Still haven't happened yet. Maybe sometime, someday soon. But there are opportunities around you, whether you are in a city, in a suburb, or obviously in more of a natural habitat like you are in Connecticut and the Maine area, or if I was if I had made my way back to the Pacific Northwest. So those opportunities. But yeah, I had built so that summer, the summer of 2023. This actually was taken in 23 for the 24 awards. But that summer, I built a bird bath fountain in my backyard, kind of a
Mhm.
tri-level thing, and it was July. It was hot in summer. It's, man, I got to get some water. I got to do something for these birds because I have some of these Anna's hummingbirds are very common in this part of the country. Probably the most common hummingbird in this area, and I had a few that are live nearby and come in. I've got a few feeders, and then I've got other birds that come in and out. And I'm like, I got to make some a nice water feature for them. So I built this and basically just sat on my patio in the blazing sun on a July afternoon with the 40 to 150, waiting for this little guy to come in and take a drink, and got this shot. This was not pro capture. This was just he was flying around and I was just firing away.
This
And
is insane. So wait, you say you built because I see like water splashing everywhere.
yeah,
What is it? How did you
like a
get that?
bubbler. So
You
there's a
have a bubbler. Okay, you
yeah,
have the
the
bubbler on top.
top one has a bubbler, so it's going up, and he's flying in and just zooming around it, and so I'm just firing away, and at least 20 frames per second, and just keeping him in my sights, and that's something that where that persistence piece comes in, right? Persistence is not just practice. Persistence is just keep doing it, keep trying. Try something different, experiment, but even when you don't feel like it, just get out and shoot. Because every time it's like my son's a guitarist, so he's constantly practicing and he's playing different songs and trying different genres, and that's what's going to get you better. So that persistence of just trying, and again the patience. But um, you learn also, at least I've learned to be pretty good at seeing through both eyes,
Mm.
right? So I've got one
Yeah.
eye in the viewfinder, and I've got the other eye open, kind of looking, and it gets a little confusing because you've got these two frames of images that you're looking at in your head. But it definitely helps to know or anticipate where they're going to fly if you can kind of see them coming from the outside into where you want to go. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was really happy with this one. One of the judges commented that this is the kind of image that he wish he had taken. So that again,
for
that
sure.
means I'm on the right track. So, um, and this
Yes.
was a few frames later, and actually I like this one even better. And this is actually the image that's on my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
um, and because he's actually drinking the water, and it's a little bit sharper. So yeah, I'm really happy with how these came out. And that's just a brick wall. It's just back
That's
in the background, blurred out. These particular images, the original ones, these are a little brighter. I brightened them up a little bit for prints because I do sell prints on my website. Um, so these two were very popular ones. So the ones that actually won, the background's a little darker, but a little browner, but otherwise it's basically just a crop and dodging and burning and a little vibrance, and that's about it. And then like I said, for print I'll brighten them up so they're a little
do
more.
you do you use any like of your own background? Do you have like cards or things when you photograph, or you just use natural element? Because
Yeah,
I
I
think
try
that
and fly natural.
yeah.
I just haven't needed to. And when I do want to I want to do more macro work for sure.
Mhm.
So I would probably use that and play around with backgrounds for that. But for the most part, I'll try and either, I've done some like Christmas hummingbirds. So in the same area I've hung, this is actually beneath an orange tree. Um, and so that's why the lighting is a little bit more even because it's basically in shade. And so the with some light that will sometimes come in from the side. But I'll put Christmas lights hanging on the trees in the background so that I can get a hummingbird with some Christmas lights in the
Oh
background.
yes.
I'll do things like that. But for the most part, I'm always looking for the background. I'm always moving around, inspecting. My head is on a swivel, and I suggest that to anybody. Don't just
Mhm.
concentrate on what's in front of you, because I've turned around. Hey, there's something going on there, or I look up. There's a few images where I look up and there's something going on over there. So you, as a wildlife photographer, you definitely have to keep your head on a swivel and always looking around and always looking for that right background for the right light, and try and get yourself, because you're more than likely not going to get the animal where you want it to be unless you're lucky and it goes where you want it to be. You have to move to get it, so.
Yeah, and as you say, observe, right? You have that animal that is in a specific location and look around. Where could that animal go? Would that be a better photo? And the background is actually more than 50% of your image. It counts. It's showcasing your subject. So it's as important as, the rest of your image as your main subject. That's very, very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is one that was a finalist in 2024 for Photoshop World, and he was this hummingbird feeding in the shade
Oh,
under this tree, under this this flower bush, and again, it's just making sure that I was lucky. There was light coming in, so I got that catch light. I always try and get a catch light in the eyes. If
mhm.
there's not light in the eyes, I usually don't even take the shot, because that's really what makes the image, is trying to get that light in the eye of the. Even if the rest of it is soft, like in this, as long as
Yeah.
that eyeball is sharp, um, and there are some branches and things that I removed that were sticking out just to make it a little cleaner. As again, that's more from I'm an artist, not a photojournalist, but yeah, and it's just observing, it's just watching and taking that shot. And this gear really helps do that. And then this one, my most recent one, it's not all wildlife. Um, this one at the most recent Photoshop World for Cityscape, and this is actually, you don't need the latest and greatest gear to get a award-winning shot. This is the M10 Mark II, the M10 Mark II, which is like a 10-year-old camera. Then I went downtown Phoenix with that, with the Emswico 20 millimeter f1.4, which I
Oh,
love. That
yes,
lens. It's such a great street.
it is.
And just walking around, this was late afternoon, and the setting sun was coming through the buildings. And this hotel, downtown Phoenix, has been there. It was originally um, built maybe 100 years ago. It had burned down. They rebuilt it, and it just has such a great facade. It's just one of
Mhm.
these, and with the lighting and everything, it was just perfect. So
And the black and white too, like your post processing, I think it works very well. Like this is a gorgeous image and simple. And as you said, you don't have to have the latest and greatest, but you need to have a camera with you, and you know the best camera is the one you have in your hand and
exactly,
it's gonna carry around.
exactly. And one of the great things, especially with the way the economy is, and the one thing that with the OM system
Yes,
and Olympus, I really wish there would be more conversation about just how affordable and accessible, and
true.
they're great beginner cameras. If you're someone who wants to get into, especially mirrorless, but wants to get into digital photography on the cheap, but have great quality gear that's small, compact. Um, the OM system stuff and the Olympus stuff is great. I mean, I think I got this EM10 Mark II with the lens. Oh, where is that lens? Um, uh, for less than $300.
Wow.
And it's a 16 megapixel, but it still has a variety of, and it's not weather sealed, but it's small, it's compact, it's a perfect travel learning camera, it's a perfect starter camera, and even, and I think I have it on my own 3 here. Whoops, I
Yeah.
have the easy lens. So it's the
Oh,
14 to 42
42.
full
Yes,
easy, which the other great thing, I love that lens.
I
And that
love
is a
that
great
lens.
camera. I love the camera too. The OM 3 is fantastic. But the other great thing about those lenses and with the micro four thirds is they're all sharp.
They
Even the
are.
kit lenses are sharp. I've been very impressed over the years with how sharp these lenses are, even the
Yeah.
affordable ones that are, and there's so many on the used market that, yeah, they're great back. If you want a second uh, camera system, or you got kids that want to get into photography, I think they're great for starter or for just travel. This is another
Yes.
one. This gentleman was busking out in front of
Oh, nice.
one of the stadiums downtown. But again, the M2, EM10 with the 20 millimeter, and this is in Jerome. So Arizona's got some great small towns, mining towns. This is north of Sedona, Jerome. It's actually one of the most haunted towns in the nation.
So it was
Um,
very popular this weekend.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. This weekend would have been crazy up there. Um, but yeah, you can. It's just, and this is with that 14 to 42 easy lens right here. So you can see you get great quality out of this gear, and you can get that lens for 100 $150, you know, or generally find it on eBay or MPB or something with the
Mhm.
camera. So yeah, they're just great cameras to use. And then some other
Oh.
travel stuff on to get a little bit. I know, boy, this went fast, time wise.
Oh,
Um,
no worries. Just,
but
I think people are really enjoying it. There's so many comments about, amazing, really impressive, and just I hope you get the time afterwards to go and look for all the comments because people are really, really enjoying all the advice and all the amazing photos you're sharing with us. So take
I
the
do
time
get,
you want.
yeah, no, it's great. I do get to travel occasionally. We did go to London a couple years ago. And so, yeah, good shot with the OM1 and the 12 to 40 f2.0 Pro 2, which is a great travel lens. In fact, if you have the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro 2 and the 50 to 200 f2.8, you're done. I think you can get away with pretty much everything with those two lenses. I really do. I don't, I, depending on what you're doing, but in most cases, especially if you're just a hobbyist or a part-time shooter or travel, you get those two, you're done. You don't need any more. Now I'm a gearhead, so I like to have all kinds of gear and stuff. So I've got camera bodies and I got stuff all over the place. But if you really wanted to just limit yourself to a camera and two lenses,
Yeah. And
that is
I
something
think
to
that's
do.
where we are gonna go. And Stuart said that budget was a big topic of conversation at his recent workshop. Yeah, the economy is so bad with all the tariff. I mean, this is ridiculous. And that's where we're getting. We're getting at maybe getting secondhand or just getting the right tools for you. And
Yeah.
the right tool
I mean,
might be just one camera and two lenses.
yeah, and OM System's been pretty good. They've been
Mm,
trying to keep
yes,
their prices down for as long as they could. But here's the Shard, in London, and I basically just kicked up the vibrance and the clouds, but it was pretty close to what it
nice.
looked like. And then the Royal College of Music. So I loved it. It was just so much fun.
Oh, that's the
And this is with the 7 to 14, so I wanted to get a real wide shot here. But that's not a lens I use a lot. And then in the St. Paul's Cathedral, the
oh,
ceiling.
gorgeous.
So again, don't have to worry about ISO and low light and any of this. This is at 1/25th of the second handheld, and put in denoise, and you're good.
Yeah, this is gorgeous, and I love those. I was very familiar with your wildlife work, your macro work, but not with your people photography. And I really, really enjoy your portrait.
Hmm.
Again, they're very, very similar. I felt to your wildlife in terms of your framing and in terms of your composition. I love that you really capture people. And it's funny because I think that's Heather who had a comment saying I love how intimate team shots are. I think it's very often the case that you don't need you people think you need the whole animal. No, you don't need the whole animal. You also don't need the whole, have everybody. You can just cut and it works. Your framing works very, very well to capture them
Thank you.
as well.
Again, I just found this one reason I just love OM System Olympus so much, because it's so versatile. You can
Yeah.
pretty much do everything, and it's a small camera with these small, tiny lenses. I mean, the 17 millimeter one, it's tiny, but it's sharp. And this is in studio. This is using speed lights and just up on a ladder and shooting. This is a band called Insomniacs here in Phoenix. They are a young kind of power punk band, and if you like Green Day, if you like that type of sound, um, they've got music on Spotify and Apple Music, and they're working on a new album now. I love them. Great guys, great kids,
Make sure you
great
put them
music.
Put
very
them in the
talented.
comment. Put the link
Mm.
to the band in the comment because that's kind of fun to go and listen to the music as
Yeah,
well. So
if you just shoot they have a YouTube channel. They also have, but yeah, if you just look Insomniacs for Spotify or Apple Music, you'll find them, and they're great. They play around here, and so we did some studio work for
yeah,
them. This is with background paper and then a couple putting some gels on those speed lights, and the OM system is works great for portraits. I do a lot of portrait work, and it's fantastic. And this is with the OM3 and the 12 to 100 f4, which is another amazing lens. And that's, again, great travel lens, but perfect for portraiture. This is just with continuous light in with the light background. In fact, I'm trying to think if she was standing in front of the light or she was behind. If there was I don't remember now,
it's so
but yeah,
soft. It's beautiful. What a
yeah.
beautiful portrait.
And then this is just one big soft box off to the model's left. And again, low light, but at 80th of a second and decent ISO at f4, and you get a really great portrait shot with these cameras, with this gear.
Yeah.
And this is where I just turned to be opposite the softbox. So she's just standing in front of the softbox and got this great silhouette.
You know what the problem is? That now you're gonna have a lot of demand for portraits,
I,
and you're gonna have to try to find sometimes. I'm
yeah,
sorry, Tim, but
I do like it. I don't do it as much as the posing is the hardest part when it comes to
yes,
portraiture. Just talking to the subject and getting them kind of comfortable and just doing the different poses. That's probably the hardest part for me. And that's why I
which
probably should do it more just to get practice. But especially also having a good model helps too. But
yes.
I
Careful,
don't
you're
think
gonna
I
get a
don't think she
lot of
took a bad
demands
picture.
now.
But
You're gonna
but
get a
again, this
lot of
is a
demands.
simple softbox, one simple softbox off the side. And then, of course,
Ah, the
not just
blanket.
wildlife. You can shoot birds. You can shoot planes. This is at I think the Sun Splash, I think it's called in Florida, um, earlier this year. So yeah, I had a chance to my first opportunity through Kelby One to shoot jets. So this is using the original 100 to 400, and yeah, it's a capable lens, and the OM1 Mark II,
Did you
plenty
use
fast.
the subject tracking here for
Yeah, planes.
planes?
I finally was able to use plane subject tracking. I hadn't used that, and I'd never used it before, so I finally able to use it. It worked flawlessly. And again, same thing with planes. It's a little bit better, but it's about anticipating where they're going to go. You're a little bit better because you pretty much know the plane once it gets started in a certain direction, it's going to go there. Unlike a bird that can just take off in any direction at any time, so you are able to plan a little bit more to know when to take the shot and where to go. Probably the hardest part was just finding the right spot out amongst the people, a centralized location to be able to get a good shot. But and just watching the planes a few times to kind of know where they're going and what they're doing. But the gear is quite capable
Yeah, look at
of
that.
handling it for sure. I was really happy with the 100 to 400 in this situation. Yeah, again, bright light. Luckily, some clouds rolled in eventually and got some good shots. But yeah, that lens is great in bright light, and the Mark II is even better because it's got the IS sync.
Oh yes, because you had a lot with the OM1, but also now you shoot with the OM1 Mark II, right? You updated
Yeah,
to the OM1 Mark
OM1
II.
Mark II, and then the 100 to 400 Mark II I've
Okay.
been using. And then this is I don't do a lot of Astro, but this is the OM1 with the Panasonic Leica, and that's another thing with Micro Four Thirds. OM system and Olympus isn't the only game in town. You do have
Yes.
Panasonic. A lot of great lenses. There's so many different lenses that work with both models of cameras. So you have a lot of variety. Sometimes you don't get some of the features, especially with the IS sync and things like that. But this is a great lens for
Yeah.
astrophotography. So is like the Olympus 12 millimeter 2.0 or the 7 to 14 2.8. Those are great ones as well.
Yes.
This
And
is
with
just
the
outside of Sedona.
AF, the Starry AF, and the
Yes. Oh,
NOS in
Star AF.
camera.
This is definitely Star AF. Anytime I've done astrophotography, I've used Star AF. That thing is amazing. You just don't miss. You really
No,
don't. As long as it's a lifesaver for sure, especially
it,
doing like Milky Way. And here's the OM3 street. This is the Tempe Art Festival last fall.
nice.
Yeah, and just out. And another thing that I want to do more of is travel, street photography, macro, and landscape are probably the areas I really want to do a little bit more of because I just got to, especially landscape and street. It's building that mental training, that mental eye, right?
Yes.
Seeing the composition, seeing what's going to happen, seeing the image. And sometimes I have a hard time, especially with landscape, um, seeing seeing the image ahead of time. Or with birds, with wildlife, I don't know. I kind of see it ahead of time.
And it's true, it's a different beast. Like I feel like for me, landscape is I don't know where to start, and I always find myself with a telephoto lens and doing more intimate landscape, which I'm more comfortable with. I don't know, maybe it's because of macro photography, but I feel like when I see people like Frank Smith, like what they get,
Right. Exactly.
Peter Baumgarten, I'm like, wow, how did they see that? It's amazing. It's something that I would like to try more. But
Yeah, and speaking of Frank, I mean, at that OM system, the nature
oh
retreat
yes.
in August this year, I was lucky enough to meet Frank. He was one of the OM ambassadors there, along with you and others.
Mhm.
But talking to him and doing his sessions and learning and seeing what he sees when he's looking through the viewfinder, that helped me out a lot. That
Yes.
great guy. All of the ambassadors are great people and not and talented photographers. But that's really what I recommend those retreats for is getting that nearly one-on-one and in some cases one-on-one conversations and be able to pick their brains and then just see them in action, see the wheels turning and when you're looking at the same scene and how they frame it versus how you frame it.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what I like because it's funny because people are like, well, that's not for me. And it's for me, I feel like there's always something to learn with photography because everybody has a different eye, has a different technique, and I love that. I love to be able to go and shoot with different people, even people who just started, because they have a fresh new vision. They see things that I might not have seen, even kids. And it's so important. Like I think that's something that I encourage you to do is either join a camera club, meet other people, go and photograph with other people, or treat yourself to a workshop because you are definitely going to learn a lot, even if you think you're not. Trust me.
and for those who aren't sure about the teleconverters, here's another example. There's the
Oh,
NT,
yeah.
the two times teleconverter with the 40 to 150, and that's plenty sharp for me. And again, it's a matter of getting closer to the subject, getting it bigger in the frame instead of trying to get the subject that's farther away from you.
Mhm.
So I use that 20 teleconverter, that two times teleconverter, to get even closer when I can. And this guy, he was busy taking a drink, and I don't know if he saw the little bug in the upper left side there, but maybe he'll snack on that
I
in a
know.
minute. And then here's some landscapes. So this is some of my few landscapes. This is a trip up to Cannon Beach in Oregon, um, and went back to the old stomping grounds. And yeah, just again, it's just the 12 to 100 f4, perfect travel lens, great for landscape, great for portraiture, great for everything. This is handheld, 10 second, one tenth of a second toward there's just a little bit of sunset back there as a little
Yeah,
sliver because there was a lot of clouds. And this uh, gentleman decided to walk in with his bright purple
mhm.
jacket and help me out because I thought that was great. Helped me with my perspective and getting so you can see the size of this thing. Um, and then I forget the name of this lighthouse, but it's on the Oregon coast as well. And this is the stuff that I need to practice more and just get you know a better eye. I mean, I think these came out good, but again, this is where I really want. And then speaking of lighthouses, and we'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
to and the retreat. So last year, the very first OM system retreat, the macro retreat I attended, And one morning, because you have plenty to do all day, these things, you will be exhausted after doing these retreats. And I'm even more exhausted because I'm out doing shots. I'm not in Maine very often. That was my first time in Maine. So I'm like, I got to go hunt down some lighthouses. So this is Nubble
Oh,
Lighthouse,
Nubble.
south of where we were. Drove down one morning, and
Look at
uh,
that with the sun. Like, right,
yeah,
this is
I
perfect.
just got really lucky. There was, it was hazy, and I noticed that the sun started coming up, and it was coming up near the lighthouse, but it had those clouds roll in, and so this was moving. Again, prepared. I had the right gear. I
Mhm.
had everything. So I didn't have the right shoes. I forgot to change my shoes, and I was out on kind of the rocks and slipped
Oh,
and
yes.
nearly killed myself.
But
I
you got
took
the
a
shot.
tumble, but I got the shot. But next time I'll wear the right shoes. But yeah, so I saw this happening and moved to the right spot so that it would come up right where it was, and then it was just timing of the light, the red light blinking on and off. Luckily, the breeze came in and put the flag exactly where I wanted it. This was just serendipity.
I mean,
But again, luck favors the prepared.
yes.
I put myself in this situation to get this shot. So it was self-made luck, but everything just happened just right. And yeah, I'm really happy with this image.
And it's so interesting because so this is a very famous location that people in New England know about, and we all go there to photograph the moonrise. And so you have that moon right beyond Neville, but I had never seen anybody taking a photo with the sun, and it's perfect as you said. The flag, the cloud, the sun, everything is just how it's supposed to be, and it's gorgeous. And it's that type of shot that I've never seen. I've seen thousands and thousands of photos of Noble House, the Noble Lighthouse, but I've never seen one like this. So it's so amazing to be able to see what a different photographer who had never been in one location can get. It's very refreshing. So thank you for offering this. And that's something that Marlene is saying. She says, "What an amazing collection of such a variety of beautiful pictures." It's true. Like you've got all the genres, you master them. That's just
And here's
kudos.
the macro, getting into the macro retreat. And I had not done a lot of macro before. The butterfly and the dragonfly, those kind of things earlier. Was about as close as I got to real macro. So being able to get that 90 millimeter lens and work with the Godox flash and the AK diffuser with your tutelage and Lisa and Tom and Chris McGinnis especially. That guy is a rock
Yes.
star. Um, so this was during one of Lisa's sessions. Just getting, kind of getting my feel for macro, and again, I'm using that same, this kind of the same, I'm approaching it the same way from a graphic
Mhm.
um, uh, design look, and looking for colors, looking for shapes, looking for lines. So I was really happy with this one. And then
Yeah.
of course the B, and this was, again, you can get some great shots. This is the 40 to 150
Oui.
teleconverter, and you can see the details of the pollen on the
Yeah.
hair. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people are like, no, not the two-time teleconverter, and you're just proving them wrong. Look at the photo that you got with the teleconverter. So
And then that
peaceful.
90 millimeter macro is an amazing lens.
Mm,
Um,
my favorite.
So I think this is during Chris's session, and just, he's got us on the ground rummaging around looking
Mhm.
for bugs, and came across this grasshopper, and that's one nice thing about the time frame. I think it was September as well last year, is you get those changing colors on the leaves that give you that nice
Oh,
dynamic
yes.
reds. And then this is with Eric Rock. He was out at the Footbridge beach and had us out looking for um, um, boy, I just lost. I'm an IT guy. I just hit a bad sector.
Oh,
Um,
no. I
the
don't.
I can't remember what these shells are called. It's a color. It's the blue. It's a penny.
Oh, you.
Uh,
I probably
boy,
won't be able to.
I can't remember what it is now.
The dollar,
but
the cent dollars, the
no,
dollar.
it's
No.
a shell. It's the small little tiny shells. There's like a color blue. It's like a periwinkle, the periwinkle
Oh,
shells. So they're little periwinkles, and I think that's what they're called. I could be wrong. But they're like these tiny little shells. They're only about that big. And this guy was just a broken shell that was on the beach. So yeah, just getting real close with that 90 and the diffuser with the flash to get a nice even light. And then this is a natural light image with the barnacles they're even tinier.
wow.
They're literally on the side of a tiny rock. Um, and yeah, it's just this this thing periwinkle. Yeah, I was right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Jay Taylor.
It was
But
always someone to confirm. That's what I like
no,
about the community.
exactly. But yeah, this really that macro retreat really broke open a lot for me as well. I really enjoy it and I want to do it more. And most of my macro work I've done there and then this year at the second annual one, but I really want to do more. And then this one,
Wow.
oh, Emily, we had our refraction session
We did. We sure
and
did.
and you couldn't get me to do it right to save your life. It's not your fault. Totally
It's
on
not.
me, 100%. You just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it couldn't work. This was the best shot I could get. And it's basically an egg, like a cracked open egg hanging off a blade of grass. The blade of grass is fantastically sharp.
It's a beautiful blade of grass. I like the background, nice and smooth. It's
Ah,
gorgeous. But that was the last group, and everything was going so smoothly. And then your group comes in, and nobody could get
nothing
a
worked.
sharp shot. It was horrible. And I'm here and I'm thinking, what is happening? And we figure out that it must have been the temperature because we closed everything and the water started to get really hazy. And at the end we started opening things and started to get a little bit better. But that was a nightmare. As an instructor, I still have nightmare about this. But you know what? It made you come back to the second macro retreat to try it again.
Oh yeah, I was bound and determined because this is definitely precise type of photography. Everything has to be lined up just
Yes.
right. But when it works, then we'll get there. But this is at the retreat, the nature retreat that was in August this year,
Mhm.
and I rented the 150 to 400, the big white. I took out there and got some great shots, like this very inquisitive chipmunk. And then these
Wow.
sparrows, and this is one of those where it's like, sparrows are just common birds, but when you're, and again, this goes back to being observant and really paying attention and patient and looking around and having your head on a swivel, um, just seeing the action. And I catch stuff all the time out of the corner of my eye because I'm just constantly looking.
Mhm.
So and I believe it was the mother sparrow with one of the older babies in the tree, and they were just kind of having this moment. And then at
This
this
is
one, and this is
perfect.
the one that I really love, and that's where that he was just they're waiting. In fact, I think these two, because there was three, there was the mother and the brother, the two, and then these are the two young ones. The mother took off, and so they were waiting for mom to come back with food. So again, it's just
It's such an
being,
intimate shot. Yeah, you just
yeah,
captured two birds. And I love that. I remember seeing you and you're just going for your photos and you're like, yeah, this is my favorite shot. And I'm like, I would kill for this shot. This is so cute.
I'm just constantly looking. That's the one thing when I'm out there with the riparian preserve or I'm out and about and people are, even other photographers and I'm more of a solo photographer. I tend to go out on my own. It's my moment of zen. It's my time to create. Now I'll go out on photo walks and have done that and had a great time and got some great shots. In fact, one of a recent photo walk I was on, there was six of us and we had five different camera like all of them. We had Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fujifilm, OM system. So it was great, and everybody was great and great shots, and it was a nice community, and we were all working together. There was no, gear envy or any of that stuff, and everybody's showing each other's gear. So it was a great experience. But generally, I'm out on my own and I see photographers who are just talking and they're walking and they're chatting and they're missing shots, and I'm catching shots. I almost want to say, hey, you guys, you're missing the action
Yes.
over here. because they're talking, and to me it's like you talk in between, but when you're out
Yes.
shooting, you have to concentrate, or you're gonna miss. Nature's there. It's on display for you to capture those moments that no
Yes.
one's ever going to see again. Here's one that's on the beach on the coast. A little shell I just happened to catch, noticed it, and waiting for the waves to come up. Again, these are techniques that I learned from Eric Rock, great guy, great
Wow.
photographer, and
Amazing.
you're going to learn this stuff when you're at these retreats. And then went down
Mm.
and to the coast and waited for sunrise. Weren't a lot of clouds, but this happened. I was really happy with this. With the you can use a zoom lens. You can use a telephoto zoom lens to get great landscape shots. This is a perfect example where you can get that that compressed view of the sun and then the bird.
The bird.
Luckily, nice serendipity where the bird
Yes.
happened to come in at the same time. And so yeah, I was really happy with this image. And then back to our
Mm.
the second annual macro retreat just happened in September. This was just this is where my techniques that I learned from Chris and Lisa and you um, just coming into play and just walking around observing. This guy was just sitting on this leaf, and this was with natural light, and just got in the right spot, and I think got a great shot. This was photo stacked in camera, but the other thing you learn at those retreats are the photo stacking, photo bracketing, working with the flash, working with the lights. I mean, you get so many different techniques, and this I think it's a spiny orb weaver. So another great shot, and with the flash and the diffuser, and just it's I could spend 24 hours a day out there doing this, and I know Lisa does. She is out there all the time. She was always out.
Even at
Um,
night, I'm like
Yeah,
sleeping
even
and
at
I
night,
still.
even in the rain, we had that big rainstorm come in that one day and drench us. But man, the gear didn't care. I mean, I probably hadn't had my gear that wet ever, and it
Yes.
didn't even didn't care. So this crab spider that this got a lot of people's attention as she was
Oh yes.
warming up in the morning
She
with that
she
dew.
was the star this year.
And here it is, Emily. You've got me to get one.
You did it.
Refraction, yes.
And
Success.
it's so funny because I was like, this is gorgeous. I love that. Everything is sharp. This is perfect. I love the composition. And you had some trouble at the beginning, right? And
Yeah,
then
it took a little time. I was frustrated again. I did not think I was going to get. Yeah, I thought I was going to fail again. Probably a good 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, and again, it was just a matter of lining everything up
yes,
just right. You have to have that blade of grass perpendicular to the lens, perpendicular to the and then the what
the
the
sun.
flower in the background you have to have just right and at the right spacing. So it's just once that happens, it's magic. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But but you went above and beyond because then you
so
always
it takes
observing.
patience. So it takes patience for sure. But then also, while I was lining up this shot, this specific shot, so I forgot that I was messing. I had these adjustable continuous lights, these little beam lights that I was trying to get so that I would not. I was trying to reduce that glare that's on the water droplets. And I got a guest who popped in. We think he was in the actual flower, that red flower behind.
Yes.
And so I got a
And
little guest, and I got my little Stuart Wood moment. I got my Stuart Wood moment
it
of
is.
glory. So this is where I have to drop Stuart's name, and Chris and all of you. But between Stuart Wood, who's a fantastic macro photographer out in the UK, who I believe has joined us today. So thank you, Stuart. Your videos and instruction are fantastic. And he's Mr. Jumping Spider, right? And so is
He is.
Chris McGinnis. So those guys with their jumping spiders. So this was actually the first jumping spider shot I have ever had. That was on my bucket
Amazing.
list, and it also got my one of my first refraction shots. So yeah, he jumped down and was there was actually, if you look back here, there was this little little drop of dew or of water on the top. So he was actually drinking that and then was walking around. So I took a little blade of grass and I'm just kind of trying to corral him back over, and he cooperated for a split second and then jumped away.
Yes, I
But
mean this shot is amazing. We should challenge Stewart and Chris to get a shot like this. I will join as well. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but this shot is absolutely gorgeous, amazing. I mean, it's so hard. I don't know that if people really realize how hard it is to get a shot like this, because you focus stacking, the spider cannot move. Yeah, amazing.
yeah, I'm the appreciation I have for you guys that are work with these little critters is. But I want to. I'll see a few of them in my backyard from time to time. And next time, now that it's cool off, now that it's not at 10,000 degrees
Yeah,
outside, I can actually go out and do some work here in Arizona. And I'm just try and get some of these and do some more of this because it's challenging, it's fun, but man, it's so satisfying when you get one.
it is.
And now, Stuart, the 50 to 200 millimeter.
Yes.
I took this down, like I was saying earlier, to Madera Canyon. A lot of birds migrating in there. And that weekend it was raining. And so my maiden voyage with the 50 to 200 was in rain, shooting hummingbirds. And it couldn't have cared less. Between the OM1 Mark II and the 50 to 200, and that was such a joy to use. That is my new favorite lens. That is, I fell in love with it immediately. That may never leave my camera very often. So the 50 to 200 lens is fantastic and sharp, um, as you can see. And it gets you that 50 frames per second with the SH1 or SH2 setting on either Pro Capture or just high speed shutter. I try not to get images on the feeder if I can. Um, but this one was just such a great shot with the rain and the water on the feeder that I couldn't. I had to get this one. And these guys, this is a Rivoli's. Rivoli's, I guess how it's pronounced. Rivoli's hummingbird, one of the bigger ones, like a second biggest
Yeah.
hummingbird in North America. And unlike the Annas and the Allens and all these other ones, the broad-billed, which I love the broad-billed, they'll feed and then they'll hover for a long time and then they'll feed, and some of them will feed while they're flying and some of them will land, but they hover and they give you a lot of opportunity for pro capture or just high speed. But the Rivoli, he just comes in, feeds, and then leaves. He does not give you a lot of opportunity to get him in the air. So I take what I can get with this guy. Here's another one of
Oh,
him,
nice.
of another one of the Rivolis on a nearby, and he's actually getting the water droplets, the rain water.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing because there's a lot more rain than you can see in the image. You can see a
You see
couple
like
drops,
one
but
drop. Yeah, it's
he's sticking his tongue out during the rain. Um, so yeah, that lens is just fantastic. I've had a lot of luck with it so far, and I can't wait to get out more. I got to get it out to Riparian and do some macro work with it, do some close up work with it, and do some more of the herons and egrets and the bigger birds.
yeah.
This is I just wanted to show this one of the few images that I have where there's multiple animals in it. These pelicans just happen to congregate in just the right spot. And I liked the way the balance between the pelicans and then the smaller birds and then the flying birds. So again, this is riparian, but it's still about the clean background, the separation of your subject in the background, and the balance of the
Yeah.
um,
And the light
composition,
is just
and then the light,
perfect.
that late afternoon light. I love the way the foliage reflects on the pond. And then we got a few. We this last couple of years, we've actually had some eagles at our riparian preserve. So I had a chance to shoot a couple bald eagles. I haven't gotten them in flight yet, but this was a couple that was trying to start a nest here, but didn't have much luck, and they stayed around for a couple of weeks and then took off. But again, a perfect example of the 100 to 400 and how sharp it can get under the right lighting conditions. I mean, those eyes are
Yeah.
just tack sharp. And then being
Oh,
in Arizona, got to have
you have to.
the Gila woodpecker on, just sitting like it was like nothing, just chilling on a cactus.
Hmm.
Um, And so again, that 100 to 400. And this is the OM5 Mark II. So OM System, I am an OM System affiliate, not an ambassador, but I am an affiliate. And they did send me out a Mark II to try.
Oh,
And
nice.
this is with the 100 to 400, my 400, 100 to 400 Mach 2 lens. And it just shows that the OM5 is a quite capable
Yeah.
wildlife camera in the right circumstances.
Because
So
it doesn't have the bird detection, but you can
it
also,
doesn't,
uh,
but I actually have a video on how to get around that on my YouTube channel.
yes,
But
exactly. So that's what I was
it's
gonna say.
timing.
You should watch, and I put the link to Tim's video so you can go and check it out. And hopefully that will be helpful for everybody.
Yeah, this is a black skimmer with the OM5 Mark II. So again, it's just a matter of timing and working um, with the focus targeting with the
Yes.
OM5. And this was the first time I was able to get this, which was rushing the grebes,
Oh, wow.
and they run across the water during their mating season. So again, this is with the OM3. This happened to be the OM3 and the Mark II 100 400, and then an Oriole.
Uh,
And we're almost done. And then I just wanted to wrap up with one of my favorite hummingbird pictures.
yeah.
And again, just getting that, you know, hopefully putting myself in the right spot so that I've got that foliage in the background and that sun coming through the leaves that give you that great bouquet.
It's just so gorgeous and it's so perfect and it's so simple. I just, yeah, I'm a big fan of your photography, and I think for all the people who might discover you here for the first time, I really encourage them to go and follow you on Instagram and check your channel, because it's all about community and building the community and helping each other and getting some amazing tips from you. So I really encourage you to go and subscribe to Tim's channel. It's right now on the screen, but it's also in the comments. It's also below in the description. And then you also have a website. And go and check your work for graphic design, because I really, really enjoy it. And yeah, it just makes sense. It's you. It's funny how you're like, yeah, this is a Tim Oliver shot. It's a Tim Oliver shot. And
Well, thank you.
yeah, thank you so, so much. I'm so happy that you were able to come to my channel. And I feel like there's been a couple of questions. There have been a couple of questions throughout, this live that you've answered. But if anybody has any questions, put them below. Or if you were watching this after the live is done, then I'll be on. I'm sure Till will be around, and we'll be able to answer any of your questions as well. Um, Tim, I want to really, really thank you so much for your time, because you've been very like giving us a lot of your time. I know you are flying right this afternoon, right? You are going away.
Yeah, if I can, we'll see. Hopefully the flight won't be canceled. We'll see what happens.
I hope
But
not.
but no, I appreciate it. Yeah, this does wonders for my ego, Emily. Thank you so much. Um,
We
and but the YouTube channel, I've taken a bit of a sabbatical, but I do have some videos on deck and ready to go soon. Like you, I want to use it to not only showcase work but also help and you know help folks not only learn to use their own system gear, but just photography in general, and especially with wildlife and different techniques and different settings and things like that. Because I want everybody
Mhm.
outside creating and um, just capturing these moments that maybe you're the only one that will ever see, and to
Yes.
be able to share them with people. So you're obviously a big inspiration for me when it comes to YouTube. You got a great channel. You have your book.
Ah,
So I've got your
thank
book
you.
here, The Bug Me. I got to make sure. And you know what? It's even inscribed though. It says to Jim. Not sure who that is, but he won't miss it. No, it's correct. You got it right.
That would not surprise me if I didn't. I sometimes, call my family with names that are not theirs. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I was a teacher for 20 years, so you can imagine my students. But one a comment that I really like is Tim adds such great humor to his video, not the same old stuff. That is correct. It's so good. I mean,
I just
y-
want to be fun. I want it to be fun,
yeah.
and I hope that's because again, like I said at the beginning, my first career was in radio
Mhm.
broadcasting. So even though my voice can get lost in a windstorm, I don't have the boomiest radio voice, but I made up for it in the hopefully the personality and the comedy, and did a lot of stuff
Oh, yes.
that. So this has given me an opportunity to kind of revisit those old days before graphic design, before IT, and so where I could just
Mhm.
have fun and be creative. So this is really, the videos are a lot of fun, but it's a lot of hard work, as you know.
It is.
It's a lot more work than I thought it would be. And I really shine bright right out of the gate. And also with the just when it's 110 degrees here in Arizona, it's kind of hard to get motivated to do anything. Um, so yeah, I took a little bit of time off, and I just had to kind of recharge my batteries. And now I'm November, December, and moving forward. I got some work with the OM3 stuff. Obviously the 50 to 200 lens, a few other lenses that I want to go through my lens collection and do some videos and get folks familiar with how to use that stuff and what's capable and what they can do with it, and also on a budget. My big thing is how can we
Yes.
do this on affordably? And I think the OM system Olympus gear really allows us to do that and gives us a lot of capabilities for less than the big guys.
I
But
agree.
again, it doesn't matter what your gear is. So a lot of the stuff we talked about is the same. And I actually encourage non-OM system folks to go to the OM system retreats, whether you're a Canon shooter, or Nikon, or Sony. I mean, it's working with these OM system ambassadors, almost a one-on-one basis. It's enjoying Steve Morello's Little River
Yeah.
studio location. It's like a 70
Amazing.
acre land that's just amazing. And obviously, Steve Morello is an amazing
Mhm.
photographer and National Geographic, but such a great guy. And all of you are so amazing people.
Oh,
But the grounds, the meadows, the forests, the river. I mean, it's just a great place to shoot for nature and macro and anything. And so regardless of what kind of camera system you use. I really highly recommend. And I know I saw just today. There's several more trips they have, retreats they have planned for the beginning of 2026 that look very interesting. Birding
yes.
ones and landscape ones. So Lisa and Tom are just doing a great job growing the OM system retreats. Website and the offering, so I can't recommend those more. And the value. I mean, it's just amazing. The price is nothing compared to what some of these others are, and
Yeah.
it's really given me a chance to be able to do these retreats on the other side of the country um, that I wouldn't have been able to do because I really do believe they're reasonably priced, and you're talking 3-4 days worth of um, worth of workshops. It's amazing. I cannot recommend it enough.
And great camaraderie. I think that's really what I
Oh yeah,
value
I
the
mean,
most.
so many good photographers, so many people from all around. The
Yes.
yeah, the community, the everybody's having a great time. Great food. Everybody's chilling and relaxing. Everybody's looking over their shoulder, going, "Oh, you got that? Dang you got that shot." There's a lot of great, professional rivalry and that kind of thing, and it just makes everybody want to be better. It's
Be
like, oh,
better.
you got that. I can do that. Let me. How did you do that? Let me show you how I can get that. And then you got oh my god. So it's such a positive experience.
It is. I'm so glad, and I'm so glad you came back this year too as well. It's so great to meet different people from all around the country and share our love for photography and learn things and make new friends. Because to me, that's what those retreats have been. It's really making new friends, and yeah, I can't wait for the next one. And actually, in mid-November, I'll have Lisa, Tom, and a couple of ambassadors on my channel. We'll talk about those retreats. We'll make a couple of announcements with those retreats, so stay tuned. And I'm thinking, Tim, I want to have you back. Maybe we should do something with Steve, with Chris, and
Yeah, it'd be fun.
maybe Stewart. That would be great, and talk about macro photography. So if that's something that are interested for are interesting for you guys, just put a comment below, let us know, and we'll come back. That would be very fun. And again, follow Tim's YouTube channel. You're gonna learn so much. You're gonna have so much fun. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna cry. He's hysterical, and you're gonna learn a lot. So, and thank you again, Tim, for accepting to be here. I know you have a flight to catch, so I really, really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to have you back. And
Well,
until
thank
then,
you, Emily. I
yeah,
very appreciate it. Very humbling to have that I was worthy of being on your channel. And so, I mean, I
I
honestly,
cannot
thank you
wait
very
to
much. You
take.
are a fantastic photographer. You're a great instructor, a wonderful person, always so positive,
Oh,
always smiling. And I'm generally have resting bitch face. So you
that is
make
so
me,
true.
you, you always make
I told you you're
everyone
funny.
around you smile, always. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
But
well,
and just
I can't wait
you've
to
been an
take your
inspiration
workshop.
too. And
I
I
can't wait to take your next
try and steal
workshop.
your ideas whenever I can.
You
But
should, because I'm doing the same with your ideas. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully, we'll have you back super soon. And I can't wait to see what you're going to photograph next, Tim. And thank you again for sharing everything with us. Really, really appreciate.
right, thank you, and for everyone who joined, I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us.
Thank you.
Uh,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.